Alright, and we're back here. So if you look at, once again, at this person, this leader's bonuses, there's some other inconsistencies here where you get an advantage for putting holy sites on a river, but they also get a culture bomb. And so the thing is, you want to put your cities on a river. So if you put your city on a river, and then you put your holy site on the river too, that's almost always going to be, if you build it quickly, which you need to do if it's an early game. You need to build it quickly. It's going to be the one tile over. So the culture bomb really doesn't mean that much if it's getting you your second ring tiles. Who cares? Look at this. So first of all, I should have put my holy site on a river here. that was a mistake. I kind of spaced. I didn't read that carefully enough when I first was doing this here, so that's a mistake. Might as well take advantage of that. Anyway, we'll survive. But hypothetically, even if I did, my point here still holds. So on my first city and my second or third or whatever I'm doing, I'm going to want to put my cities on fresh water, for example, on this river. And I'm going to want to put my holy site on a river. So what I should have done is put it right here. Right here. I should have put my holy site here. But the thing is, that would have gotten me, my second ring tiles here. Who cares? That doesn't mean anything. I'm going to grow to those tiles really rapidly. And I could buy them if I really needed to. Second ring tiles, and you get a culture bombing second ring doesn't, who cares? That doesn't mean anything. So it's a little asynchronous, if that makes sense. If that's the right way to use it. Ideally I could have bought this tile here, maybe? Maybe to maximize this for this city specifically. I found it where it is. I buy this tile and put the holy site here. That would grab me some nice hills early. So that could have been nice. But I have to buy a tile just to use my bonus, because I'm always going to want to settle on the river, which is only going to give me tiles. And then if I want to put a holy site on the river, I have to put it right next to my city, which is not going to mean much. So it's a little again, asynchronous. The entire aqueduct thing, so this is what is important. When you found a city on fresh water, a river, or a lake, you get 5 housing. When you found a city on the coast, you get 3 housing, and it doesn't count as having fresh water. When you found a city with no water, you get 2 housing, which is atrocious. Basically does nothing until you get a housing. But anyway, you get 2 housing, and obviously it doesn't count as having fresh water. So if you found if you build an aqueduct in a city that already has water, you get 2 housing. So if you have a freshwater city with an aqueduct, it gets 7 housing. If you have a saltwater city with an aqueduct, you get 8 housing, because the aqueduct gives 6. No, I'm sorry, you get 9 housing. The aqueduct gives 6 housing. I know I'm saying this word over and over, sorry. The aqueduct gives 6 housing to a city without fresh water and 2 to a city with fresh water. So once again, a freshwater city with an aqueduct will have 7, a saltwater city with an aqueduct will have 9, and a zero water city with an aqueduct will have 8. So once you have this aqueduct tech, with or without this civ bonus, you're incentivized to build cities. You're incentivized to not build any more freshwater cities, because you'll actually get an extra housing that you wouldn't otherwise have. But the thing is, still, I'm not hyped on aqueducts, because this tech is kind of late. Early classical isn't that far away, but the thing is, you're prioritizing things like currency and horseback riding. You're at apprenticeship even. You're not going to really want to go down here unless you're doing an early attack. And even then, this takes a while, because you're doing an early attack, you probably want to use archers and, chariots or whatever melee units you can get your hands on. So This tech is pretty far. Like, by the time, vast majority of the time, you're going to found all your core cities before you get aqueducts. Which, again, like, aqueducts are kind of meh for that reason, which means they're meh for this civ, who gets a bonus to aqueducts. So, we'll see. It's pretty hard to settle dry cities early, because you're really just hurting yourself if you don't settle fresh water early before you have aqueduct tech. And even when you have aqueducts, what you have to do is you found a city like, I probably won't do this for real, but like, you know, like one tile away from fresh water, and you have to like buy a granary with gold or else it won't do anything, and then feed it like trade routes and builders, so that the first thing you can do is build an aqueduct. You found the city and you build an aqueduct immediately afterward. And that's kind of a heavy investment, whereas otherwise you could just plop the city next to the water and you're good to go. Like, that's all you need to do. It's ready to go. You know, you don't have to give it that extra investment. So, it's another drawback to aqueducts. Man, I wish I had put this on a river. Now I look like an idiot. It's okay, please forgive me. Immediate shrine, of course. And we're going to want to go, as I said previously, political philosophy and mysticism to rush our religion as quickly as possible. Stonehenge went here. I think I'm going to loop this warrior back around, because we do want to make sure we don't have any barbarian trouble. This camp, I don't want it to be an issue, so I'm going to bring my warrior back, and I'm going to get my slinger as soon as I can.
I thought clay must feel happy in the good potter's hand.
Hang on a second, let me bring the volume back up for you. Alright, so now we have pottery, we can harvest this. Holy crap, man. It was showing starvation for a moment there, which was interesting. Even like founding a coastal city with that had an aqueduct potential feels kind of meh. Like, I really should be building a granary. Like, granaries are really nice buildings because they make coastal cities like viable because they're pretty cheap. Like, it's like a first tech building. 65 production is nothing. That's like, what, a warrior or something? Okay, not quite. It's like a warrior and a half. It's the equivalent of a galley. So, like, yeah, especially later. Granaries are always the first thing you want to build in coastal cities. Perhaps I should have put my second city somewhere down here with the fresh water, because that way I could have rushed my holy site faster. Live and learn. Alright, in terms of what to tech next, I have the techs I need to get my religion, which is my first goal. And because, you know, I've been thinking that a good way to play this civ is going early warfare, because that lets you prioritize these technologies, which can lead you to aqueducts, and take advantage of that later. And the thing is, if I found a bunch of cities now, I'm kind of like screwing myself because I don't have aqueduct tech, and I'm not founding aqueduct cities, which I really want to do. Or if I do found aqueduct cities, meaning dry cities, I'm just like, they're just gonna suck until I get aqueducts. We could kind of play around that. We can build granaries, we can use workers to build up farms and stuff like that, but that's still just kind of crappy compared to having a nice water city. So I am kind of thinking a way to play this civ correctly would be to found a religion up here, get it up and running, and try to spread it as much as you can. Build an early army, and go to war. Get that going. Rush engineering. And then after that point, start building more infrastructure and settling more cities. Like, only a little bit, because then you kind of, after that, you really want to be rushing your siege units. Now, an interesting question is if catapults upgrade into dom rays. Usually, you can't upgrade into unique units, which would be really nice because that's upgrading is it's always cheaper to build a unit and then upgrade it rather than building the upgraded unit. So, like building an archer and upgrading it to crossbowman is cheaper overall because I consider one production equal to 2.5 gold. So archers 60 production versus 180 production. So the 60 production plus the gold, the gold cost divided by 2.5 is much less than just getting the crossbowman. But anyway, I doubt it because most you can't upgrade into them, which is kind of a huge drawback for a lot of civs like England and the US come to mind. But anyway, so for general strategy, as I said, I think early warfare is the best way to go. Kind of build some more infrastructure, settle some cities once you have aqueducts, and really prioritize that. But only for about half an era, and then, or I guess a full era. So in terms of your timings, early ancient, always rush religion. Get that going as quickly as you can. Then for about a full era, maybe an era and a half, like a full era going to early classical, and then rushing like stuff like this, and then a half like getting engineering, build units, go to war. After that, catch up here, build cities, build infrastructure, do that for a full era here, and then maybe like then rush your first tech here on the late medieval should be military engineering, and then you continue your war push. By this point, you've probably slowed down a lot. Hopefully, you haven't lost units. That way, you can upgrade your crossbowmen. If you use heavy chariots, you can upgrade those into knights. And depending on how many catapults you build and if they're upgradable, you're going to want to supplement them with dome rays. So that's the basic plan. Okay, I just went over the basic plan for the civ, but the thing is we don't have good options for war because it's okay to kill city-states, for sure, but you kind of want to make sure they're good cities and that nobody sees you doing it. Because if there's a crappy city in the middle of the desert or the middle of the Arctic, and it's a city-state, it doesn't matter how crappy that city is, it'll still give you bonuses. So you don't really want to kill it, you just want to leech their bonuses. But that said, overall, having another city is better than having a city-state friend. Probably. Depending on how many cities you already have, and depending on their bonus. Like, Nambadal is a pretty nice bonus, but I could kill it and get a pretty decent city, too. I think we are going to do that. At least kill Nambadal, kill Valletta, probably. I want to get some more info here. I'm going to scout them out, because city-states often are kind of crappy locations. This is an exception. This has hills, which is really important. So I think we are going to try to execute that in terms of our game plan here with this civ. The baseline sort of strategy I went over. The alternative would be to scout out with ships and see if we could possibly get shipbuilding and bring units over. But as I said, shipbuilding, you want to rush engineering. I don't want to go all the way up here and shipbuilding and then go down here. That's such a waste of time for me. That's a lot of tech that I could be getting engineering instead. So you really it doesn't seem like a good option for me to tech for shipbuilding and then try to attack someone and then get aqueducts. That just feels sketchy. So I think I'm not going to expand again. That makes sense. We're going to go ahead and march our troops over to Nanmadal as fast as possible, I think. So I should be building encampments, probably. I don't know. Encampments might be a little overrated. Oh, did they change that? Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy. The citizen yield of culture and production, that's actually not bad at all. I don't really want hanging gardens. I'm still gonna whip up some galleys first, just for scouting, because they're quite cheap. Because getting 100% production on anything is like incredible. That's why Australia is so good in my opinion, because of their massive production bonus, along with their really strong improvements, and they're just like always applicable, powerful district. Like Australia, like I talked about earlier, the difference between like core yields, like food, cities, science, stuff like that, versus kind of luxury yields like faith and stuff. Australia has like massive bonuses to like core things. That's why I think Australia is really powerful, because you can really do anything. You have this really powerful magnified bonus. Let's see here. It's pretty cheap. Is it worth 20 gold to... I don't think so. To especially if I want to get a slinger. There we go. Do I want Muscat? Oh, I didn't even see that. Whoopsie! Let's go over there. So we boosted my tech for harbors, and I'm supposed to be bringing this guy back too. So it looks like we are on our own little continent. So we could kind of go on a killing spree, because city-states, one advantage to attack them is they're always really weak. Like no matter, like they're always weak. It doesn't matter, because they don't really. I do believe they get the AI bonuses, but just having one city for your like entire empire is just so clearly inherently terrible that they're never going to be able to pump out that many units to stop you. They tend to get walls very late as well. Two galleys is always the way to go. Pretty much always. Because if you think about it, like, I could send a galley this way, or I could send him that way. So why not do both? Because you get double production, and they're really cheap. So it takes 2 turns to get this really awesome scouting unit. And it gets you a tech boost. Perfect. An interesting little sort of decision in Civ. Ooh, oh, that's one of the new ones.
The clear aqua blue serves as a looking glass.
This is actually
turquoise crows, tinged with a touch of black.
Super cool. I think this is a super cool wonder. So it's got really sweet yields: 3 food, 1 production, and a culture. Not like godly, but like very good. Like you really want to. It's good to prioritize this, especially because as I talked about before, getting that first point of culture in any new city is really important. And so if you can work this right away, like settle next to it, or like buy a tile and settle it, buy a tile and work it, you get this big food, which is really important at low population. You get a production, and it'll grow the borders really quickly. Now this is another like a really cool wonder, because its bonus, like its defensive bonus, plus 15 combat strength when defending, is insanely strong. Like the difference between, what's a good example? Units that are kind of close together. Like 48 strength for a knight and 28 strength for a chariot. So what? That's a difference of 18, right? 38 plus no, probably more than that. What the hell am I saying? 20. So 20. So late classical versus late medieval. That is 2 full eras difference between these. Plus getting a special resource is 20. So you get 75% of that, of 2 eras worth of upgrades, a unit upgrade, just by being in the style, which is insane. And another reason it's cool is because that's like based on real life. Like the civilization, I believe this is located in Indonesia. That I know it's that region. I apologize for being ignorant of the specifics, but I know for a fact that historically this place, it's based on history. Like this place was attacked by boats. Like their naval attacks here historically went terrible because of these closely closely placed cliffs, and because it was so hard to sail into that if you controlled the area. So it's a cool bit of flavor there. I would love to settle this later. Maybe I could even get an aqueduct, because I'll get a coastal city with an aqueduct. The only wrinkle here is I want to make sure I have production, because this is all kind of flat, but we'll see. At least I do have some plains. So I'm trying to squeeze out bronze working. I'm trying to get the bonus, is what I mean. I'm going to have you auto scout. But I don't think I've even killed one barb yet. It's interesting. Hanging gardens used to be pretty easy to get. Look at that. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, those are so nice. Too bad it's housing capped. Too bad I can't build a granary because we're building a freaking holy site instead. Alright, I'm really worried about this. He's almost always a spearman. Yeah. Oh, it might die. I was about to say a spearman can't one-shot a slinger even without the policy. The barbarian policy. But a spearman and this thing could totally do that, so I may have just made a huge mistake because I forgot about this stat. He's so excited. He's like, yes, can do something for barbarian kind. Yep. What did I say? So at this point, I meant to switch this, but it's kind of futile at this point. There's some barbs. This is really interesting. So if we can get across here, there's some decent stuff. One-turn galleys. What did I say? I think I'm just going to go ahead and get bronze working. Like, I'm 2 turns away, and I want to build encampments now. So let's just go ahead and do that. So, 1 religion was founded with Stonehenge. 2, 3, 4. So we're in line for 4th religion, and nobody's competing. But because we're like a religious-based civ, it would be great if we could sneak into 3rd. We're not going to catch 2nd because he's only 2 turns away, he or she. But it's actually fairly possible to catch, because what I did was I'm getting so many points relative, like, as I stated in the previous part of this series, I'm like totally, oh my god, maximizing. Excuse me. I'm fully maximizing my great profit points by doing this build. Too close to tribal village to automate. Why don't you automatically go to the tribal village? Think about it. So we might try this one more time. So, yeah. So far in the history of Khmer, slingers have had a bad time, but this time will be different. I just spaced out there. Should have moved him left. Why take a hit, right, when you don't have to? Encampment. So where do I want it? It doesn't really matter. Long term, it would be kind of nice to like defend the coastline over here, maybe, because I don't expect any like major civ to be settling here at any point, really. But one thing, I'm gonna put a campus right where my mouse is here, which means I can build a little triangle of districts there, which will give them a little bonus. So let's do that. Encampments don't benefit from bonuses, but they can provide them. So like, my holy site will gain +1 faith because it will have 2 districts touching it, because the encampment counts for that, of course. The encampment itself won't benefit, but it doesn't get adjacency bonuses. But that's okay. It can still help. So otherwise, I really just want small techs. I want maybe a Jebel Barkal. Do I have a hill? No, I just have flat desert here. That's okay. We're just going to get techs to get units, which are going to be archers and probably heavy chariots. Chariots are really good because they upgrade into knights, which isn't that... They're pretty relevant. Like, they remain quite relevant even like into like early, even like around this transition into medieval. Then they're a little crappy, but then they pretty rapidly... It's pretty easy to rush stirrups because it's only right after horseback riding. So if you needed to, you could rush that. We're not going to because we're getting military engineering, but chariots are always welcome in early empires. Another way you can boost your great profit is Classical Republic because you'll get 15% points, which of course also includes... I'm a little worried about this boat.
Divide and rule.
Look what we got here. Might just send this one back to heal up. So, yeah. Classical Republic gets me 15% more great profit points, which is always welcome. I do want this for a little while, at least. +2 is always good. What am I building right now? I'm not really building anything specific. Like, I'm going to want builders pretty soon, like a couple more. I could build those now. I mean, it would only be my capital. I still want to build a quick shrine here. I think I want to build a quick shrine. I'm doing very well in terms of profit points, like because I've been heavily prioritizing them with Divine Spark and everything. If I get 30% production here, that's about 4 plus 4. That's obviously going to be more than... What am I trying to say? That's going to be more than getting +2 from having 2 cities. I mean, actually, would have it anyway. What am I even talking about? I could put this in even if I'm not using it, because the alternative would be like something like +1 faith and gold. That doesn't really matter. Let's do that, and let's because like I don't really need the encampment until I actually start building units. So I don't need to finish that right now. Whereas if I build builders right now, I can improve my terrain, which will just magnify anything else I do later. It's pretty much a no-brainer. So once my warrior is over here, I think I need to bring him around because of where that location of this ship is. In fact, I should really try to take that ship out. That really throws a curveball into like fighting this camp here because they do a ton of damage. The barbarian ships. They really got to be careful here. This thing will die pretty much the second. The next. So here's the thing. It doesn't update right away. I actually have I have like 5.6 or something great profit points because this doesn't update the same turn. The UI doesn't update the same turn you finish a holy site, but it will next turn. So I'm in position to actually catch this person without building a shrine, which is really awesome. So I think I'm going to try to hold off on the shrine. Build the all-important granary here, because yes, I'm trying to maximize it. Basically, I'm taking a risk, and that I won't quite. I'm taking a risk that I'll only barely get 3rd religion, but I think I can get away with it, and I can boost my city instead. So there we go. See,
Reinvent the wheel. Just realign.
He did not die. It's a miracle. Granary. So granary is +1 food, +2 housing. I was thinking, like, would it ever be viable to build builders instead of granaries? And I really don't think so. Like, if you're housing cap like this, just build a granary, because you get that. 2 housing is the equivalent of 4 improved tiles. Assuming, and you have to give them, like, it's 4 improved, basically, food tiles, pretty much always. And if you're improving, like, if you're maxed out in pop, you don't really need more food, obviously. So the best way is just get that straight up housing from the granary. So in terms of here, gonna improve this hill, get that plus production. And I'm gonna cut this up, and then I'll probably build one more builder to at least one more to boost this city over here, and should be pretty much all set. And then we can start building our encampment here.